Yep.
I'm Chris Aircraig.
I'm Amy Griffiths.
I'm Stephen Jones.
The thing that I find about e-bikes at the moment, it just puts a smile on your face and just makes you feel happy and like...
The idea of having a motor in the bike to make it go a little bit faster just made sense to me.
The decision of what type of EMTB to choose based on the amount of power can be incredibly difficult. So we're going to take you on a journey over varied terrain with 3 riders, 2 full suspension EMTBs and 2 motor types, and a landscape that offers adventure and challenges on so many levels.
It's not just about jumping on it and putting up to turbo, and then obviously like power is nothing without control, you know, and that's what you need, and timing and a lot more.
And so the aim, a very simple one, to explore the range of possibility and capability of a lightweight EMTB and a full power one to help you make that all-important decision. The Whyte E-Lyte and the Whyte E160 are 2 classic examples of e-mountain bikes with different power, different motor, different battery capacity and different suspension travel. Now, the question is, do you actually go for a bike which has got 160mm travel front and rear with a 750 watt-hour down-tube battery, or do you go for something lighter? This is the Whyte E-Lyte, 140mm travel rear, 150mm up front, 400 watt-hour battery in the down tube with the option of going for a 250 watt-hour range extender. In terms of power, we're looking at 55 Newton meters, plays 85, same peak power, which we'll come on to a little bit later, and the weights, sub 20 kilos for the Whyte E-Lyte and around about 25, 26 for the E160. Now, there's no shortage of words in any mountain bike catalogue of how brilliant each mountain bike is, but they can't all be brilliant at everything, right? Well, actually, do you know what? As mid-travel bikes, they possibly can. Now, this is what Whyte has to say on each of these bikes. Of the E160 then, the ultimate bike for trail riding, epic rides in the hills, racing enduro, or having a blast on techie trails and single track. And the E-Lyte, 0 compromises wherever the ride takes you, the climb, the single track, the all-day epic, the tech, and climbs back out. And I guess they're actually right. However, the question is, which one do you choose? So here I have the handbook of which mountain bike to choose. So let's actually put that away because let's face it, we're all different. There are a few fundamentals to consider about full and mid-assist bikes. Those being power, range, the effort involved, handling and nimbleness both up and down. And, well, having made a slight error on route finding, we begin the video with raw weight. So I guess having the lighter bike is a lot easier if you do go off the beaten track in places such as this. Surprise, surprise, on a trip with me. But yeah, lighter bike, here comes Amy.
Come on a shoot, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Lightweight e-bikes, they said. Why does this always happen? Another Steve Jones adventure. Are we off script yet?
We're definitely off script and off track. But hey, that's the fun, right? I thought that climbing up a road, we'd save ourselves the tech climb, but in this instance, the kind of road came to a dead end and we ended up like hiker biking. Back on script, we get our wheels rolling, both the E-Lyte and E160 fully at home in these action-packed lands.
Retake.
Whoa, tasty, eh?
Have we do that, Steve?
I think so.
Well, look at that, Christmas dinner in a butty. Merry Christmas.
With Acrig having tucked into the starters, it was time to get into the main course, power and its relationship to climbing ability, together with some of the factors that might lead you to want more or less power. Now you might want more power if you're riding steeper gradients, you're a heavier rider, or you're riding more tech terrain.
That's it.
Yeah, nice.
I'd say that was out of the cards.
And you might want less power on your EMTB if you're maybe a lighter rider. You ride mellower gradients in general and you simply don't ride super technical terrain. But we're going to have a look now at some examples of different kind of gradients and different power. Starting with this little beauty over here, Chris, I think. Chris?
Yeah.
Starting with this one over here.
Let me at it, Steve. The way I look at it is I think a lot of people see the motor and the power in the wrong way. I think they think that it's this sort of utopian missile between the legs that they can just make them do everything. And I think what they should be looking at is you need to tone it down to be like a usable advantage.
So we just come to this little slaty climb. Now, we thought it was easy, but the problem is that once you break traction, it doesn't matter how much power you've got, you're sliding. So the technical level on this is not the gradient or the rocks, it's just simply the surface, just such a slippery surface. So we're probably going to work it for a couple hours.
I think it's not like the gradient, it's like the frequency where the rocks are. The pedal distances are just so awkward, and the slips, it's just so slippy. And obviously on the full fat bike, as soon as that traction breaks, it's just spinning up. Steve's going to show us how to do it now.
.9999999% of people wouldn't be able to climb that. He's just cleaned it.
I had to try that.
You were trying.
It was a shock to me how difficult that was.
So what we're saying is, yes, power matters, but where you ride, how you ride, your weight and skill levels will determine which bike is best for you. So at this point, we turn our attention to the whole business of handling and, dare I say it, nimbleness. Now this is very easy. Lighter bikes are more nimble downhill, right? Well, in some ways, but nimbleness isn't just about the weight of the bike. It's a combination of many things: suspension design, shock absorbers, geometry, and componentry too. Oh, and rider skill. And finally, remember, agility is an uphill thing as well as down. And in that respect, a mid-power is in another world more agile than an MTB, and a full-power bike even more so.
The lightweight bike and the full-fat bike are very different for me. Noticeably on the descents, especially if you're on a steeper descent, the weight sort of catches up to me a little bit. moves away from the enjoyment of the trail a little bit for me. And one of the things I've noticed massively since riding the E-Lyte, I don't feel so worked after a day of riding or from the descents.
What you might find with the heavier bike is that that's a bit more planted. Whoa, wet slate. Wet slate and Chris accurate. So, look at that.
If I jump off my e-bike back onto my normal bike, that's the time the to fan, because the weight, which I feel sometimes is it's weird, but I'd say it's an advantage, because obviously it's pushing you down. You're getting grip. And the last time that I had a legitimate crash, and I mean crash where you're out of control, properly out of control, and it catches by accident and you go on your ass, is when I've gone the other way and you don't have any grip. You just don't feel like you've got any grip, which is, it's nuts. It's really nuts.
Now, range could, and indeed should, be part of your consideration when buying your EMTB. What I can tell you is that both these bikes have got around about the same range. So there's a 750 watt-hour battery in the E160, and the E-Lyte with a 400 watt-hour battery and a 250 range extender, as I said, will go about the same distance. I've actually got a video coming up on the channel soon which shows just how far you can go in turbo mode. Now, in turbo mode, just as an example, that's the most extreme version, I can probably ride about 2.5 hours and do about 3,500 feet in turbo mode on the E-Lyte, and the E160 obviously covering ground a bit quicker, the same distance, same height, same distance on the same track, but you're doing that ride in about 2 hours, and again in turbo mode. So just an idea, but there's lots of things actually which you need to take into account when it comes to battery range. So the first thing to take into account is the heavier you are as a rider and the amount of weight you're carrying, the less range you're going to get. Similarly, the amount of climbing you do on a ride, how heavy the ground is, that is how boggy the ground is, how technical the climbing is, and obviously the amount of time you spend in the higher power modes. So just how much effort is needed to ride both bikes? Obviously, you can simply sit back and cruise around in turbo on either bike, but it's not quite that straightforward. Amy, what do you reckon of this adventure so far?
I'm really enjoying it, actually.
Yeah, cool, right?
It's something different for me.
I think one thing we need to cover, guys, is effort. I think there's a range of factors which determine the amount of effort you put into an EMTB, and you might not like this, I think none of them have anything to do with motor power. I mean, go on, give us. I
think mindset is probably the big one. Yeah,
probably,
mindset.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
for sure. Amy?
Yeah, and probably the terrain as well, like how steep it might be.
We've done some very terrain today, haven't we?
Yeah, we definitely have.
A mid-power bike or a full-power bike, you know, you could ride a full-power in eco, you could ride a mid-power bike in turbo.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't matter. It's got nothing to do with the motor power, is it? I was going to say, but one thing about effort as well is that I actually like riding super tack climbs, and I think if you're doing a climb which is 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters up a mountain, I think on a full power bike that is still a big effort, even if you're in turbo mode. Nice. White chocolate macadamia nut. I'll tell you what's happened. The gentleman holding the camera has snapped the chain, and guess what? I'm getting the blame for it. I'm getting the blame for it. How dare you, Amy? Oh, for f***'s sakes. Go on, fit under there. I ain't got my glasses on. Leave me alone. Chris Ackrick is bullying me. Right, link.
Am I losing another one of my master links?
There, look, it's there, one there, look.
Somebody else's chain.
So we've now hit a transition where it's not actually about the motor or the range or the suspension travel or the geometry or the componentry. It's actually about rider skill. So the gradient has gone from that to that to that to this. Enter Chris Ackrick.
It's so hard to move on. You stayed the same.
And for me, in the early stages of what's possible on e-bikes, find the limitations and then obviously push them a little bit further.
That's it, folks. Nothing left to say, really. I think two fantastic bikes, great company with Chris and Amy. I think ultimately what we talked about earlier is the fact that the effort and the places you go to are actually determined by you. However, places like this are only areas where the likes of Chris Ackrick can go. Anything to add, guys?
No, not really.
Chris?